Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Las Vegas. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with William Huey Jensen, and we're ready for the quarterfinals. Daniel Wong versus Manny Davoudi. There's Daniel, there's Manny, and we've got Affinity in the hands of Manny. Slow start here, just a land, nothing else for him, at least thus far. Daniel on the other side of the table is taking a lot of turns here. Blue, black, taking turns. This is one of the cooler decks out in the field, Huey.
Sure is, and it looked to me like he also took something else, something he didn't want to take, which was a mulligan.
Oh, no.
I think he only had 6 cards laid out, so...
taking turns and mulligans here for Daniel Wong. Ooh, he's got a fatal push here, though, and that's an important piece of the puzzle here because that Steel Overseer gets out of hand very quickly in the hands of the Affinity player.
Yeah, if not answered, that Steel Overseer can end the game extremely quickly.
Yeah, a couple of turns with it, and that's about it. Well, speak of the devil, here's another one. Daniel says resolves. Manny passes the turn back, and Daniel's once again going to need to find an answer for that thing. He doesn't have one, but he does have a Howling Mine.
No land, though.
Passes the turn back. That's 2 cards going into the hand for Manny Davoudi. This is, of course, the downside to a Howling Mine. This deck tries to break that synergy by basically using those extra cards to keep on taking turn after turn after turn while your opponent sits there helplessly. But
yeah,
in the meantime,
Manny here is going to activate 2 Inkmoth Nexus, use Steel Overseer, maybe throw an Inkmoth for just a little extra value. But he's threatening lethal on the following turn here.
Whew. But wait, there's more. Look at all this. Every single creature, including the creature lands there, are going to pick up counters. And he's going to attack for 4 poison damage. And like you said, Huey, one more of that sequence, and it's going to be over. So Daniel Wong with his hands very much full.
I can't see Daniel's hand, but I know from watching him play, he needed an exhaustion right there.
Yeah, can Giga Drowse get him out of this?
Sure, he can wait maybe to get Manny to invest some mana in activating some of his creature lands before casting Giga Drowse.
Wow, he's got 3 Time Warps in his hand, Huey.
Question is if he can survive till he can cast them.
After having missed a land drop, I'm going to say no.
Well,
but we'll see. Lots of Mox Opals here for Manny. That's the 3rd one. Well, he gets to attack, activate, activate, and that should be the game. Yeah, wow, quick one for Manny Davoudi. He gets in there with the poison plan and kills him. Now, one thing, Huey, before we talk about sideboards, look at that deck.
Yeah.
From Daniel Wong. It
looks like my old Battle of Wits deck.
It does. That's what it reminds me of. So I did a little research. You and I were joking around. We're thinking, well, what does he have, a triple sleeved? We were wrong. Huey,
triple sleeving is for the weak.
Quadruple sleeved deck in his hands. He has 4 sleeves on each one of those decks, which is why it stands so tall.
Yeah, Owen played against him this morning. He said the deck was so thick he had to shuffle it in sections.
In halves. And
yeah, I don't even think halves. I think like thirds or quarters.
There you go.
You love it.
Sometimes you quadruple sleeve your deck. I love it. Let's take a look at some sideboards. You can also get a view on what's going on in the main deck here for Daniel Wong. But since we're on our way to game number 2, I'm kind of looking over to that right-hand side. What are you seeing here that would be good against Affinity?
2 copies of Hurkyl's Recall.
Okay.
That's an all-star card against Affinity.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
It's basically another time walk for Daniel.
Yeah, it is, effectively. I could see the Things in the Ice in this matchup being okay.
Uh-huh. You mean the thing in the ices?
No, Things in the Ice.
No.
Yep. Chalice of the Void, I'm not really sure how these games play out. I have a feeling it's a bit too slow.
He has 3 of them.
Yeah. The Engineered Explosives I can see for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to clean up a Ravager or plating or something like that.
That makes sense. What about Collective Brutality?
I don't think so. I don't think he's worried about spells. I don't think he wants that 2-mana creature removal spell.
Real slow sorcery speed, too.
Right. Although, maybe it's enough. Maybe he's just too worried about a card like the Steel Overseer that we saw take over a game like that.
Yeah. What about cards that he really doesn't want to see in his main deck anymore? If we look over there, are any of these cards just nonsense against the
Commandeer?
Affinity
I don't think is the best card against Affinity. You're not really like looking to, jack a Springleaf Drum or whatever. So I would think that would come out.
Otherwise,
Sensor's a bit slow. A 2-mana Force Spike against a deck full of 0 drops. Not what you want to do. I could see something simple like those two out for a pair of Hercules Recalls.
Sure. Maybe that Engineered Explosives finds its way in for something, but yeah, not a ton. Okay. Manny Davoudi, he's on Affinity. It has to be said, Affinity has been the most prolific aggro deck since Modern has existed. And
Thoughtseize is for sure.
Right, 2 Thoughtseizes up
Spell
there.
Pierce for sure. Wear Tear for sure. And then potentially cards like Ancient Grudge if he wants to try to fight the Howling Mines.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right? Because half of the he's got Howling Mines, but he's also got those Dictative Crufix.
Yeah.
Which Wear and Tear is fine, but the Ancient
also,
Grudge
they
will
have
not
deck
hit.
lists, and it turns out he only has 3 copies of Howling Mine, 4 copies of Dictated Crufix. So probably not the Grudge, probably the Spell Pierce.
Okay.
The 2 Thoughtseize and
The Wear and Tear.
the Wear Tear, because that hits both.
Yeah. All right, so some potent cards coming in for both players, but not a huge game plan change for either of them. Neither of them really has that much wiggle room either. Manny still has to be the aggressive deck. If anything, he wants to go faster, right? I mean, he wants to punish.
Yeah, I mean, his goal is just to kill as quickly as possible.
Right.
Daniel doesn't have a ton of interaction, and he really can't let Daniel hit a critical mass. So he'll do everything in his power just to make sure that doesn't happen.
Man, he's taking a look at the deck list and making sure that there's nothing he's forgetting here. Look at that deck.
The crowd has been loving it here, by the way.
Yeah.
Every time you can tell if Daniel wins a match because cheers erupt in the hall.
I was talking to a friend of mine, John. He's from the Bay Area, young guy. He comes out to some GPs, and I said, yeah, Daniel Wong looks like he's going to make it in the top 8. And you'd think he would refer to him, oh, the guy that's playing Taking Turns. He goes, oh, the quad sleeve guy?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. That's
Friend of yours, for sure.
Definitely. Huey, have you ever double sleeved a deck?
No.
I haven't either.
In fact, I used to play limited without sleeves.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Just hard shuffling?
Yeah.
Wow. Was that before they invented sleeves, or
No.
it was a choice?
It was a choice. I just like,
Oh, I know. Do you think Daniel's jealous here? He's like, man, this is a lot easier to shuffle than this pile of
like when you're
plastic
doing
I've
a
got.
fun draft, do you sleeve? I still don't sleeve in like.
Half and half.
I'd say when we're in the Pantheon House testing for the Pro Tour, I probably sleeve like 35-40% of my decks.
Yeah, I go about half. Like if I have my stuff with me, I'll throw them in my sleeve. But if not, it's no big deal. I just go.
Maybe if I had my own sleeves like you.
Yeah. You got a rep.
Yeah.
Daniel's going to take a mulligan here, which means we're going to get to see this insane shuffle action again. When we first saw this deck, Huey thought they might be in top loaders.
Kind of looks that way, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We thought they might just all be graded cards.
Well,
we abandoned that theory and settled on possible triple.
What's the limit?
This is the most I've seen by
no,
a
it's the
factor
most
of
I've
2.
seen for sure.
I've never seen triple.
Is it possible to do more than 4?
My assumption is that the outermost sleeves are specially designed so that you can do this because you just can't fit that many in a regular sleeve. So
right.
I don't.
So I guess
I
there's
would
no
assume
limit.
there's no. Yeah, there's no limit, but that also I don't think anybody would make one to accommodate 5.
You would have said that about 4, though.
I totally.
Given that we've never seen 3
Here's
before
the deal.
today.
If I were to guess, I would guess that those sleeves on the outside are not made for Magic cards, like that they're made for some other type of thing, because they're way too big for just a regular Magic card.
Okay, but now
I don't know that for sure, though.
Now that the trend has been set, somebody has to go bigger and better and go for the fifth layer.
They guarantee will. How many GPs until we see somebody with the 5-sleever? All right, here we go. We're underway here, though, in game number 2. Manny Davoudi really put a smash in on Daniel in that first game. Wasn't particularly close. But Daniel gets to be on the play now with his Taking Turns deck. Huey, maybe you could give us just an overview for people that haven't seen the deck before and what it's actually trying to do.
So it's a blue-black deck, but mostly blue. I mean, the lion's share of the cards are blue. And what Daniel's trying to do is put cards into play like Howling Mine and Dictative Cruffix that allow both players to draw additional cards each turn and use those additional cards to take extra turns. So the advantage gets more to him than to the opponent. You know, if both players are drawing 4 cards a turn, but you're taking 2 turns to your opponent's 1, you're drawing 8 to 1, or 8 to 4, excuse me, in cards.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, when you hit a critical mass, you're drawing so many cards, you can either time walk or effective time walk every turn. What I mean by effective time walk is Daniel has cards like Exhaustion in his deck. For 3 mana, creatures and lands target player control don't untap. You know, in combination with Giga Drowse, or even Giga Drowse by itself, tapping down all of the opponent's permanents. It's like an effective extra turn to just lock the opponent out of the game.
Of course, they keep hitting their land drops, start being able to do other things.
They can play some 1-mana spells sometimes.
Sure. Do you know how the game ends?
Part the Water Veil.
Smashing.
Inkmoth Nexus. Snapcaster Mage.
That's pretty... Doesn't really matter at that point how you decide to win.
Yeah, Snapcaster Mage when you're taking all the turns is pretty good.
Yeah. Now, if you're sitting in Manny Davoudi's seat, though, your job is to kill him ASAP, right? Not as much to try to disrupt him.
Well, there's not... I mean...
You know, we saw some Thought Seasons.
Affinity doesn't have that much disruption. Like I said, I would have those cards in my deck because I think, on average, you know, a Thought Seize is going to enable you winning a game against a deck like taking turns more than, say, an Ornithopter. But Manny should be looking to end the game as quickly as possible. He should make all decisions based on what's going to do the most damage and what's going to present the shortest clock.
Well, speaking of presenting a short clock, a Steel Overseer is on Manny Davoudi's side. It is untapped and unsummoning 6, so this could be an absolutely explosive turn here for Manny. He's going to kick things off with Signal Pest. He already has a Vault Scourge. You see a Springleaf Drum down at the bottom of the screen, and there's another Signal Pest. Manny's still with 2 mana available. He's going to just attack with Vault Scourge, activate the Steel Overseer, and Daniel Wong is in huge trouble all of a sudden.
You'll notice Manny in the last game was activating those tapped creature lands to put counters on them. And here he has both a Glimmer Void and a Springleaf Drum untapped and didn't activate either one.
Yeah, I saw he has a Spell Pierce in
I
his
saw
hand.
he did too, and maybe the extra one is for his other card. I couldn't really see what it was, or potentially just trying to play around something like a Censor.
Manny knows that this is a board state capable of winning the game in just a couple of turns. And it's really on Daniel. Manny probably is going to be able to stop whatever Daniel's first commitment to the board is. Though Daniel just plays a land and passes it back. He really hasn't done a ton here, just Serum Visions. Here's an Ornithopter.
My math is correct. I think, well, Manny doesn't attack with the Inkmoth Nexus, but I think he could have done 15 damage this turn.
With the Blink Moth?
With the Blink Moth, yes.
Okay.
As it is, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11.
You know, I think Manny has a Galvanic Blast in his hand to go along with the Spell Pierce. Is that possible?
It's possible.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if he didn't attack with the Nexus in that case.
Well, he's passing the turn back, so we'll find out shortly.
Daniel just has to find Herkel's recall here.
Yeah.
If he tries to take an extra turn to find more cards, it's going to get spell pierced and he's going to lose. If he has to play another fetch land and go to 4, and in fact, Mani has a Galvanic Blast, he's going to lose. I think his only chance is Herkel's recall.
Players in the Team Trio Sealed. Your round 2 is being posted. Team Trio Sealed.
You don't even want to know what our producer Andy Cooper just said.
I refuse to repeat that.
I'm going to repeat it. Can I repeat it?
Not yet. This is a big moment in the match. We really need to see a Herkel's recall here from Daniel Wong. And it looks like...
Is that a Herkel's recall? I think it is.
I think he has a Herkel's recall in hand. Okay, we might have a game here. And he draws an Etched Champion. He certainly doesn't need it to win the game, at least as the board sits. And he's going to attack for lethal damage here. Daniel, of course, has to wait for him to attack. Daniel says, I got nothing. You want to do anything? Manny says, nope. I just want to kill you. And he says, all right, fine. Herkel's recall. So all artifacts are going to go back to Manny Davoudi's hand here. And Manny says, okay. Leaving a slew of dice littered on the battlefield. And now Manny has to rebuild. The thing about Affinity is that they can. This usually buys you a turn, right? Where they have to pick up their stuff, and then they're like, okay, how about this, 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 and this, go. And you're often just facing lethal again the next turn. But that one turn can be huge.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Manny is going to be able to present lethal. 2 Signal Pests and Ornithopter present almost lethal by themselves. He also has 3 creature lands in play.
He busted his sleeve. The 4th layer came down here. He has to replace it. We get an insight into the process of the quad sleeve. Oh, man. I've never seen anything like this. This is just cracking me up.
Our producer, Andy Cooperfaust, said, would you consider this a sleeves arms race?
I wasn't going to repeat it.
I told you I was going to.
F.
You're grading the pun.
Yes.
You're not.
I'm anticipating the grades I'm going to see in the chat as well. F- has been called, by the way. That was the first one in. Triple F, F-. All right.
You were right.
Chat's on fire today.
You finally guessed something right.
Hey!
I've still yet to do it. Those invocations are haunting me.
I never got a single one. Sometimes Slaughter Pact is your time to shine, Huey, and sometimes it passes you by. Daniel's deep in the tank here. You see these updates popping in from the left side. Craig Wesco advancing. Oh, that might have been wrong, actually. Give us a second to double check that one. Here's Fatal Push, though, to kill the Steel Overseer. We're going to update you on that Craig Wesco match in case that result was incorrect. So if you're a big Craig Wesco fan, hang on a second. Chalice of the Void for 1. Look at this. Daniel really forcing the issue here and saying, you got a Spell Pierce?
Monty just lets it resolve, kind of interestingly.
That's crazy.
It's because he has the Ancient Grudge in his hand.
All right, yeah, it looks like that was reversed. Benjamin Corsi with Affinity defeats Craig Wesco with Hate Bears to move on to the semis. So Benjamin will find himself battling in the next round, and Craig's going to have to settle for another stellar finish in his career here, but not a trophy today. Apologies for the fake news there.
Snapback.
Okay.
That's the name of that card. It's a blue and 1 for return target creature to its owner's hand, but you can exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying its mana cost.
And he snapped back the signal pest there?
Yep, so he's going to take 1 down to 4, and now Monty's going to be able to sit on this Grudge plus Galvanic Blast, if that's indeed what it was.
Well, he's got 5 cards in his hand. Just going to fire off this Grudge here.
I think so.
Yeah. There's Grudge. Let's see if we can get a look at the rest of his hand. That might have been the only red card. Daniel says that resolves.
Tough to counter an Ancient Grudge because you know it's going to have to be countered right away.
Thoughtseize off the top for Manny. Let's see if he just casts that right away.
Yeah. This might.
This could be it.
Yeah, this is trouble for Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel's really facing a lot of pressure, and remember, he's down a game here as well in a quarterfinal. He's got another Hercules recall though.
Yeah, this is only going to prevent about 1 damage though, and net money and mana. 2 mana.
Dictative Crewfix for Daniel. He is fighting the fight here. He plays the Dictate, and now he's revealing his hand of Giga Drowse and Time Warp. Giga Drowse hits the bin.
Yeah, Monty chooses Giga Drowse because he knows even with the Dictate in play, if Daniel has to cast that Time Warp on the following turn, Monty will be able to just Spell Pierce it and attack for lethal.
So Manny's job here is to try to just set up, make sure that he has lethal. Should be easy. Daniel's tapped out. Manny has a grip of cards. And he's going to play a Signal Pest. And another Signal Pest. That was with the mana floating. Looks like Teomiri has defeated Paul Peterson. So one of the Hate Bears decks through the semis. Springleaf Drum. And an Etched Champion here for Manny Davoudi. So absolutely he has set up lethal, and this is going to be incredibly difficult for Daniel Wong to get through. He's going to play the Time Warp, and that Spell Pierce, that's going to do it. Manny Davoudi on to the semis, 2-0 over Daniel Wong. Manny in firm control game 1, took a little longer in game 2, but
I think Affinity's
still
just a little